Hey, everybody, welcome back to another daily drop here on TarHeelIllustrated.com. I'm THI publisher Andrew Jones. And the topic today, Carolina football, specifically the great Omarion Hampton. And I mean great. I don't throw that word around very often. I'm not Sparky Anderson, who thought everybody was great. But he is a great football player, a great running back. His 40th touch Saturday night when he jumped over the line of scrimmage, dragged some Wake Forest players into the end zone on his 40th touch and a touchdown that Tar Heels absolutely needed. To me, personifies the kind of player he is and everything about what makes him such a great player. But the question is this: is he the greatest Carolina running back of all time? It's a loaded question, and I think sometimes there are people that go two ways with a question like this. There are some that look at what's going on right now and say that's got to be the best ever. And then there are some that look at what's going on right now and they so deeply romanticize the past, they say there's no way he's as good as that guy. I'm kind of falling in between. I probably used to lean toward the latter, especially when it comes to baseball. I've always been a very snobby baseball Hall of Fame guy. But when it comes to college football greatness, sometimes you have to be measured, especially in basketball now, because it is a different game. The teams in the 80s were loaded more than the teams are now, so it's all relative. But in football, it's somewhat the same for the most part. And you can look at a guy like Omarion Hampton and watch him play in person and think about all the guys that have come before him and make your own determination. And I want you guys to make a determination, and I want you to let us know on Twitter, on Facebook, on our site, TarHeelIllustrated.com, which, by the way, you can probably have a great discussion about this on our premium board. You can access all premium content for just $8.33 a month for a one-year sub. So the question is Omarion the greatest running back in Carolina history? This is a wonderful history UNC has as running back. The Tar Heels went through a period there in the 70s, 80s, and 90s where they were churning out 1,000-yard guys like there was no tomorrow. Several teams had multiple 1,000-yard guys. Now, Carolina wasn't throwing the ball a ton. A lot of running stuff with Bill Dooley, a lot of running stuff with Dick Crum. And then Matt came in, and they had some really good running backs, Nate Means. They had the Johnson boys, Curtis and Leon. And Leon is one of the top rushers of all time, a great receiving back, 151 receptions he had in his career as well. Went on to have a nice career in the NFL. So there's been a ton going back to Carolina history. Even go back 1964 with Ken Willard. You go back, obviously, the greatest Tar Heel of all time, Charlie Choo-Choo Justice. Just look at number 22-yard line at Kenan Stadium on the field, and you'll understand that Choo-Choo's being honored all the time because of the hash mark that is Carolina blue in honor of Charlie Choo-Choo Justice. Okay, last year, Omarion's numbers, he averaged 19 and a half carries per game. He had 29 catches, so 21.7 touches per game. He averaged 6.1 yards a touch last year. He had 15 rushing touchdowns, 16 overall. That was in 13 games. This year, in 3 fewer games, he has only 3 fewer touches. So Saturday afternoon in Chestnut Hill, the game starts at noon. Let's say Carolina gets the ball first. By about 12-12, Omarion will have as many touches this season as he did last season, and he's only 5 fewer carries behind where he finished a year ago. So 27.9 touches per game this year. 4 times he's been at 30 or more. He has 75 touches in the last 2 games. 525 yards, that's 7 yards a touch out of 75 in the last 2 games. He had 40, like I said the other night. That touchdown was unbelievable on a 40th touch. Now, he's got 14 rushing TDs this year, 15 touchdowns overall. He has 3,327 yards in his career, most of it done the last 2 seasons. He's number 5 all-time at UNC. Ahead of him, very quickly, Michael Carter with 3,403 yards. Omarion will pass him Saturday. Leon Johnson, 3,693 yards. He will pass him probably when the Tar Heels play NC State. Mike Voigt, 3,971 yards. It's doubtful he'll pass him this year, but you never know with the way Omarion's been going lately. And then, of course, famous Amos Lawrence, the all-time leader, 4,391 yards. He was the second running back in college football history to run for 1,000 or more yards in all 4 seasons. The first one was Tony Dorsett. So a little bit of comparison stuff here. Let's have some fun. Famous Amos, he averaged 20.8 carries a game for his career. He was the go-to guy from pretty much from day one. Mike Voigt averaged 23.5 touches in his last 3 seasons. He didn't play a lot his first year, 29 touches per game in 1976. I believe that was the year he had 47 against Duke. He was ACC player. He was 2-time ACC player of the year. Leon Johnson, now he had 21.7 touches per game, 17.7 carries in his career. Remember, he had 151 catches. He's the best all-purpose running back probably in Carolina history because he did so much in the passing game. And, of course, Michael Carter, who, by the way, in 2020, he averaged 8 yards a carry. That may be the single best season in many respects for a Carolina running back, but he'll probably never get that acclaim because he didn't run for, 2,500 yards, 2,000 yards, because he had Javonte Williams back there. So he wasn't carrying the ball a ton. They shared it, and they both did an amazing job. Both were well over 1,000 yards, but 8 yards a carry, man. That was an unbelievable season. And a few other names, Ethan Horton, Natrone Means, who I actually talked to in the elevator Tuesday after doing player interviews over at Kenan Stadium. Don McCauley, one of John Bunning's buddies. I used to talk to Don a lot. He can spin a yarn, so to speak. Gio Bernard, I covered him. Javonte Williams, I just mentioned. And, of course, the great Choo Choo Justice. So these are the names. And these are the names to compare Omarion to. And as much as the older people probably watching or listening to this would love to romanticize famous Amos, certainly Choo Choo. Choo Choo has his own place. The game was different back then, and he did a little bit of everything. Most well-rounded player. How about that in Carolina football history? Michael and Javonte, to me, are kind of joined at the hip, to be honest with you. Kelvin Bryant name should be up here. He's phenomenal. I believe, Omarion passed Don McCauley and Kelvin Bryant the other night. Kelvin Bryant was really good. Won a Super Bowl with the Redskins. He was on his way perhaps to a Heisman Trophy in 1981. You go back and look at the first 3 games he had that year. And then in the 4th game, he hurt his knee against Georgia Tech, came back a little bit later that season, really wasn't the same. It hurt the Tar Heels tremendously. Clemson ends up winning the national title that year, and the 2 of them played. They were it was the first ACC game pitting 2 top 10 teams, I believe, in Chapel Hill that year. And I think Clemson won 10-8. That also may have been the game that Kelvin Bryant came back and he was ineffective. He really wasn't ready yet. So where does Omarion rank? I think Omarion is better than Michael Carter was because of the power aspect. I think Omarion's a better running back than Leon Johnson because of the power aspect. And he's got 31 catches right now. And if he had 5 last week, he had 5 the game before that, maybe. He could get over 40 catches this year, which would be pretty good for a feature running back. I think he's better than Leon. Mike Voigt, famous Amos Lawrence, maybe better than famous Amos, simply because he's at 1,504 last year. He's 78 yards away from another 1,500-yard season. He's going to blow past that. I mean, he has a chance, a pretty good chance to break Don McCauley's record of 1,720 yards. If he does that after 1,504, as a junior, sophomore, junior year, remember, famous Amos had a senior year. It's doubtful Omarion will have a senior year. I think you got to put him ahead of famous Amos. So it's probably Mike Voigt, the competition. Some people may say Gio because of his explosiveness. I think he's better than Gio, again, because of the power. He can match the edge, but he's got the power aspect, the yards after tackle. He had 180 yards after tackles, after contact the other night. I'm not sure those other guys did. Javonte might, but I think that Omarion's a more well-rounded back than Javonte. So I'm saying it right now. In 2 weeks after the Tar Heels play BC and NC State, we could be in position where you can say this is the greatest running back in North Carolina history. I think it's a legit claim to make. Let's see how he finishes this thing out. And let us know what you think. Give me your top 5. Let's have some fun. Where is Omarion in there? Do you not want to rank him because his career's not over yet? Is it fair to wait till the career's over? Not fair to rank him right now. It's all fair game, man. This is all subjective. Let us know what you think. If you're excited about Omarion Hampton possibly breaking the single season record, certainly going to go over 1,500, go ahead and click like on this video. Subscribe if you have not to our channel, please. Make sure you let your Carolina Tar Heel friends know that we're here and hit the notification bell so you get updates every time we upload, which is often. I'm AJ, and I appreciate you stopping by.